What is the ultimate truth? 5 immutable characteristics of Buddhism. We know that more than 400 years after the Buddha's Parinirvana, the Buddhist scriptures were finally recorded in writing. Before that, they existed only in oral form, passed down from one generation to the next by reciters, those who memorized the entire scriptures and were responsible for reciting them to the community. In addition to these reciters, there were also commentators who specialized in memorizing and teaching about the Buddhist law. This transmission process relied entirely on their memory. By the 1st century BCE, the scriptures were finally written down, and in the long process of oral transmission that lasted for hundreds of years, it was inevitable that errors were recorded due to misunderstandings, misinterpretations, and incorrect practices by many generations of Buddhists. Even during the time of the Buddha's presence in this world, there were those who did not correctly understand his teachings and misinterpreted his message. The Buddha had to call these individuals to him and inquire how they had understood his words to speak of them in such a way. Misunderstandings occurred not only outside the Buddhist community, but also within the Buddha's own order. Buddhism is the path of the ultimate truth, distinct from the doctrines and teachings of other faiths and religions around the world. The teachings of Buddhism do not change over time, are not altered by political, historical factors, and notably, the Dharma that the Buddha preached is always noble and elevating. Based on these 5 characteristics, learners and practitioners can compare and contrast what they have been taught and guided to recognize what is the ultimate truth, what is relative, and what may be incorrect to avoid being misled. Being the ultimate truth, belonging to the reality, the Dharma that the Buddha realized and preached, always ensures the following 5 characteristics. Immediately practical, here and now, not deferred to the future for its value. To be realized by oneself, through personal practice and realization, not merely believing what others say without clear understanding. Unchanging over time, always the truth, not dependent on the past, present, or future, meaning it is always correct, without need for correction, adjustment, or updating. Noble and elevating, aiding humanity in permanently liberating itself from suffering in a noble and uplifting manner, not just temporarily ending one form of suffering to encounter another. For the wise to realize by themselves, once spoken, realization or not is up to each individual, and only they can receive it. No one can do it for them or give it to them. In summary, Buddhism guides its followers on the importance of maintaining the ideal of truth and the skillfulness in recognizing and practicing the authentic teachings of the Buddha, leading to a life of peace and happiness. Part 1. Practicality in the present. The method of the ultimate truth must aid people in overcoming their distress, finding peace, at the very moment they are living, not about enduring suffering now for a future without suffering. For example, seeking cosmic energy, unlocking abilities, enduring hardship now or working hard to contribute, aiming for future wealth and glory, wishing for the power of ancestors, various meditations to support oneself in the future, seeking realms of happiness, paradise, nirvana, in the future, enduring hardships to cultivate virtues in this life for happiness in the next life, resolving karmic debts in this life to end karma in the future. All such methods that make people think of a brighter tomorrow are good, but they are not practical in the present and are not the Buddha's method of liberation from suffering. Throughout 45 years of preaching the Dharma, the Buddha spoke only of suffering and the cessation of suffering. This is practical because it aligns with the goal of life, which is to end suffering. All of humanity is in search of one thing or another, doing one task or another, also with the aim of ending pain and suffering. Religions and sciences have been established with the aim of helping people end their suffering. However, the concept of ending suffering, or the cessation of suffering for humanity, involves changing circumstances to achieve a better situation someday in the future. Hence, most live for the future, hope for the future, dream of the future, and are optimistic about the future. Religions also create for their followers the hope of ending suffering through the complete joy of heaven after death. People endure today's suffering in hope of a better tomorrow, and when tomorrow comes with the same understanding, they continue to endure suffering with the hope of ending it the next day, and so on. Thus, reality is always filled with suffering, while the cessation of suffering is just a future dream that never comes true. The teaching of practicality in the present is most clearly expressed in the scripture, the Discourse to Calamus. Do not dwell on the past, nor long for the future. The past is gone, the future has not yet come. Only the present law exists. Insight truly lies here, unmoved, unshaken. Do not wait for the end of suffering in the future, but learn to cease suffering in the present. That is the true cessation of suffering. Part 2. To come to see. The second characteristic of Dharma study is, I clearly see for myself what is practical and present, finding peace and happiness in the moment of practice, not because someone said, burdened by karmic consequences, now one must perform rituals like this or that. Someone claims to have encountered this God, saint, spirit. Within one's body lies this and that, unlocking them will grant various benefits. In a past life was this creature, this object, and in the next life, one will go to this place, this revered figure, that person. A famous individual said this or that. Upon hearing the above, simply note, do not object, but do not rush to believe. Observe and gradually verify to ascertain the Dharma with certainty before concluding on your own whether it is the true Dharma or not. Buddhism is the path of coming to see for oneself, not a path where others see on your behalf. What is it that one comes to see? It is to truly see the principle of dependent origination, to see the reality of impermanence, non-self, to truly understand suffering, the cause of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering. Coming to see also involves different levels. Seeing the truth through listening to teachings or studying scriptures is called scriptural wisdom. Seeing a broader and deeper truth through contemplation of what was heard is called reflective wisdom. And seeing and knowing the truth for oneself by practicing the 4 foundations of mindfulness, living with that true realization, is called experiential wisdom. This is the progression of study, reflection, and practice. Only when one truly sees through the practice of the 4 foundations of mindfulness, achieving experiential wisdom to its completion, can ignorance be fully eradicated, achieving the realization of the 4 noble truths, and thereby attaining liberation. This is the ultimate fulfillment of coming to see. Part 3. Timelessness, unchanging over time. Unlike human truths, which may be valid for a few hundred years before being replaced by new discoveries by scientists, or truths that apply to one group but not another. Therefore, many spiritual or scientific discoveries today are only valid for a specific time or group of people, making them not universally true. The Buddha's Dharma is not limited by time. In any era, the Buddha's teachings remain applicable, providing practical values for humanity, such as peace, happiness, and liberation from suffering and distress. It is not the case that the teachings are only valuable in one era and not in another. Some might argue that the original teachings of the Buddha do not fit with the degenerate age, Dharma-ending age. This is a baseless and incorrect view, as the Buddha himself affirmed that his Dharma possesses a timeless nature. In the Pataka Sutta, Digha Nikaya, Sutta number 24. Thus, the absolute truth, unchanging over time, is no matter how much living conditions, wealth, or external material circumstances change, humans cannot end suffering and distress if they still cling to greed, hatred, and delusion. This is true now, and it will remain true thousands of years from now, regardless of how much evolution occurs. Humans will still suffer if they cling to greed, hatred, and delusion. To end suffering and distress, we must abandon the mindset of mastering external material things or reacting to external circumstances. Instead, by observing our own sensations through the practice of the 4 foundations of mindfulness, we can then truly end distress. Part 4. Noble Direction, Progress, Development. This is the most crucial characteristic of the Buddha's teachings. The Buddha's Dharma has the power to help practitioners transform their consciousness from ignorance and delusion to wisdom and enlightenment. Many people mistakenly believe that Dharma study will lead to complacency, mediocrity, and indifference towards oneself and the world. However, the Dharma is inherently uplifting. It aims to liberate humanity from suffering, to achieve genuine happiness, happiness not derived from craving, but from the liberation from greed, hatred, and delusion. The current development direction of many people is fraught with errors, causing environmental damage, health destruction, war, leading to suffering for many groups to benefit a certain group. The development direction of those who study and practice the Dharma may seem content on the outside, but in reality, it fosters internal happiness, always easy and available, safe, and harming no one. In contrast, the opposite development direction seeks joy and happiness from external circumstances or others, thus being entirely dependent on conditions and others, and therefore not sustainable. Part 5. For the wise to realize by themselves. Similar to other scientific disciplines, Dharma study is not easily accessible to everyone, especially because it represents the greatest discovery in the history of human consciousness, uncovering the truth of reality. In contrast, most other discoveries merely identify phenomena, not absolute truth. Therefore, Dharma realization is not straightforward for everyone. Only a few truly wise individuals can understand it. What defines a wise person? Those who always seek to discover the truth of reality with an egoless mindset, setting aside their ego, current knowledge, and experiences to open their hearts to new insights. They do not judge others, forgetting the actual content of reality they are witnessing. However, saying that only the wise can comprehend, deeply understand, and practice the teachings implies that the Dharma, being a profound and subtle truth, contradicts conventional understanding filled with ignorance and desire, and represents a path of transformation that goes against the current of worldly life. For example, desire and craving are the roots of the cycle of birth and death, suffering, and the foundation from which the worldly existence arises. However, the Buddha's teachings aim to eradicate desire and craving, making them challenging to deeply understand and grasp. Beings perceive the world as having a self and as permanent, but the Buddha's teachings assert that the world is without self and impermanent, not lasting, changeable, always in a state of flux. The mind, clinging and craving, does not want to accept the truths of no self and impermanence in all things. Only the wise can accept, comprehend the truth, the Dharma, of the world and the path of transformative practice. Here, wisdom does not refer to extensive academic knowledge or high educational attainment, but to an individual's foundational level of practice, the capacity to grasp Buddhist teachings, a keen mind, a karmic connection to the true Dharma, through closeness to spiritual teachers and knowledgeable friends, and having studied the scriptures. Part 6. Conclusion. Thus, Dharma study possesses 5 immutable characteristics: practicality in the present, to come to see, unchanging over time, noble direction, for the wise to realize by themselves. If a person truly understands these 5 characteristics of the Dharma, they will neither hastily believe nor dismiss anything. Only after comparing with the 5 characteristics of the Dharma will they reject or accept. Such learning, research, and practice will yield significant results and benefits.